What's going on, YouTube? My name is Ginge TCG or Chris, and today I'm back joined by my co-host Avery on the Battle VIPs podcast. Avery, what's good, boss? How are you doing?
Uh, we hanging in there, boss man. But you know what? At the end of the day, I get to play about my favorite card game, and I get to yell in y'all's ears about
True.
Gardevoir. And
True.
honestly, I feel like that's the best way to blow off steam is when you can feel your body temperature rise when you're thinking about a deck. Not even talking about it, just thinking about a card. When your body temperature go up to flu status, that's how you know it's a good day.
I'm sorry.
Cause I
I just before for everyone listening, before we started recording, bro, we were just chilling. I'm having the most regular conversation. This guy immediately got more heated. You're like an old man, bro. You like said a word and just made yourself 10 times more upset by mentioning the word and just doubling down on it. And it just took me for a loop. Well, yeah, that's how we're doing today. We hope all y'all are doing just as well, having a good time playing the game. We want to thank you again for tuning in, whether you're tuning in on Spotify on the Battle VIPs podcast channel, or you're tuning in on the Draw Pass TCG channel on YouTube. Before we get into all the stuff we definitely wanted to cover today, I just wanted to remind everyone, no matter which platform you're checking it on, make sure you go check out the Draw Pass channel and the other content that's up on it. I know Avery's been talking about getting a throwback series started on it soon. And I have done an Evolve Your Game series, just trying to help build a competitive scene. I've been working on the dopest project for it. If you don't mind me taking a couple minutes to just talk about that
go
here
right
on
ahead.
Pod
You're good.
Epic. I've been doing like little masterclass segment like series that I've got planned. I'm super excited for it. I've planned out two so far. I've got one on Blissey EX with Michael Mahler. He made day two at NAIC with Blissey EX, and I was stoked to actually get in touch with them, talk with them. We're coming up with a little Blissey masterclass about all the big techs, all the different types of ways to play Blissey, our personal insights on it. That's one of my favorite decks to play in my free time, so I definitely was excited to talk about it more, especially at a higher level like this. So if you're interested in playing Blissey, you want to know more about the deck, definitely tune into that one. And I have another one coming out the following week with a new mod in our Discord server, Bun, who's been tearing it up with Typhlosion alongside Toted Out Gang. So us three will be doing another masterclass 2 weeks after this video is live on Ethan's Typhlosion. So if you're a big Typhlosion player, which I know many of you guys probably are, the deck is fire, no pun intended. Definitely go check out that masterclass. They're gonna be pretty cool like mini series I got, and I definitely want to continue more of them. So if you consider yourself a renowned pro at a deck and you've got something to show for it, great limitless results, or you've made some day twos with a specific deck and you want to yap about it, hit me up, man. I'm totally down. I kind of like this little master series format. It's a fun little pet project of mine, so I'm excited to get it out to you guys soon. And yeah, I mean, I don't
Lovely.
know. Was there any other series? You got your throwback one, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
basically what I'm thinking about for this Throwback Thursday thing is a little while ago, if you guys remember, if you're OG viewers of the Battle VIPs podcast, we talked about this on one episode. We were basically taking an older deck archetype. So for example, the one that I wanted to talk about was Greninja Break. Now, for those of you guys that don't know what Greninja Break
Greninja
does,
break.
it evolves from Greninja, and what it just has an ability. Once you discard a water energy from your hand, you can deal 6 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon. 60 damage, basically. You can't swap them around like Dragapult. It's just straight 60. So the idea was you take these archetypes and you sort of enhance them. Like enhancing expanded is sort of like what I was going to call it.
Yeah.
Originally before Throwback Thursday, because, throw the Pokemon, blah, blah, blah. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking essentially 4 slots of your deck can go towards modern cards. You can have totals of 4 modern cards in your deck, but they can be a mix of supporters, items, and energy. So what that's going to be able to do is, like, for example, in a deck like Greninja Break, you're going to need your Froakies. You can tech in, like, 3 Poffins, maybe an Arven to grab that Poffin. But the rest of the deck needs to be within that format's bounds.
Yeah.
So if you're playing from, like, X and Y Break to the Roaring Skies format, all your cards need to be from those formats or from those sets, except for 4 modern trainers from Sword and Shield onwards, which means that you could potentially play like Battle VIP Pass. We can sort of nerf that and go into like Scarlet and Violet onward, which would be a little bit more balanced, but
Who cares?
Sword and Shield
We've
just
been
seems like
having
a
fun
little
with
bit
it.
something
Yeah,
more
we've
fun.
been having fun
Yeah.
with Sword and Shield, and we also made it was 6 cards, I think, technically, because it was 4
Yeah.
for trainers, 1 for Radiant, 1 for an A spec. So you did
True,
get like a
yeah.
significant buff to the old style deck, but unlike expanded where you could scrap 80% of it, like you have to keep 90% of it now. And the 6 slots essentially are really just, I mean, at least as far as you and me have played, are just like consistency slots. Like we play a
Exactly,
little
yeah.
more Radiant Greninja for the draw. We play a little bit more like or maybe Arvin because the great supporter that can speed up with a lot of the old school tools and items and stuff like that. So yeah, I know that's at least how you and me have been playing it. It's been a ton of fun making decks in that format. I also made that Greninja break deck with Archie's Ace in the hole. That was cooking,
Yeah, you cooked.
dude.
You cooked. You cooked.
Yeah. So no, definitely stay
But yeah,
tuned to that series as well. We'll be going out on the Battle VIP, or excuse me, Draw Pass TCG YouTube channel pretty soon. So stay tuned for that one.
exactly. And the big thing I want to do with that series is just introduce people to like sort of how the older cards felt.
Oh yeah.
You know, like you might be like, "Yo, that trainer was busted. How was that not banned?" And it's gonna be like,
Bro.
"Yo, believe it or not, it really wasn't that bad back then."
Shadow
Because like
Stitching Greninja,
that
crazy.
was
Silent
crazy.
Lab? Who made that? That's
Max
nuts.
Elixir. I mean,
Max Elixir? Yeah, no, I totally hear you. I just think it's also a fun break. Like, if you're a player like me who didn't play during, like, the X and Y Black, White era, I joined in late Sun and Moon. So, like, that's when I first picked up the game and actually wanted to learn how it was played. Didn't even get competitive until 2 years after that. Just kitchen table play. But I think at this current point where it's like making a Worlds push, like, playing a format like the one Avery's created, like an enhanced expanded, is a really nice break from like competitive play. You still get to work your mind, you still get to work on plenty of TCG skills, but you get to take that like emotional break from heavy testing, heavy like matchup theorizing and deck crafting and stuff, and you're like, whatever, I'm building my Radiant Jirachi coin flip deck with the Victinis and the Glimwood Tangles, trick coins,
yeah,
and
like
stuff like that.
it's fun. It's
Yeah.
just meant to be like you're still increasing your skill set with the TCG.
Yeah.
You're just doing it in a way that's fun and refreshing. Nobody wants to queue for the ladder all day and play against Goldengos, Grimmsnarls all day. Have some fun. Play against an old Darkrai EX with Mewtwo EX. Like that.
Yeah.
That's an engaging way to play the game.
And
But,
it's not
yeah.
like there's a huge meta because it's like, guys we're hopping on and playing together with. Or if you're taking this, you're probably playing with your friends at home, like, or friends online, and you're having fun making fun decks together, looking for the fun matchup, not the sweatiest deck to beat everyone else, because there is no, like, everyone else when we're doing this. You know what I mean? Like, we're just playing together, like,
Yeah.
just us two. So it is a really nice break. I have to say, it's been a ton of fun learning more expanded cards. I think I've mastered, borderline memorized the cards from the 2016 year set at this point, because I've been staring at that set specifically for the past like 6 months together. So yeah, it's like there's a huge gap in time in knowledge from 2016 to like 2019, but at least 2016 and nothing before that. But 2016, I know it, man. My Wailord EXs, I know it. So
250 used to be a wall, man. 250 used to be a wall.
Yeah, it used to be an unbeatable wall too. I mean, hey, you throw a max potion, I'll still make 250 a wall.
True.
Yeah. Anyways, though, transitioning more to what we got today. planned
Exactly.
For y'all. We got Worlds next week, if I'm not mistaken. So I think on today's episode, we really just wanted to cover a couple things. One, what Avery and I think are going to be the top decks going into Worlds, what we think will win Worlds, what we think will do really well at Worlds, what we think will be the most popular. All that type of little breakdown that we've done on the channel time and time again. And then after that, we want to spend a little bit more time just talking about how we go about picking our decks. So if you don't know, if you're new to the podcast, welcome. Thanks for tuning in and making it past the 5-minute mark. But yeah, Avery and I are making our first ever Worlds push, so it's not like we're certified pros yet. Tune in at the end this time next year when we're going to Worlds, and we'll tell you a whole lot more of what we learned. But for now, we are going to Pittsburgh, so just talking about what goes into selecting a deck. I know personally I won't be sharing my pick for Pittsburgh, but I will talk about a lot of like the cognitive, emotional, rational, logistical skills that I've put into selecting a deck, and some of the stuff that's helped me and some of the tips that have helped me. So, maybe you guys can pick up on those as well. Maybe it helps give some more insight, some more clarity, some more reassurance when you're making your own choices. And Avery will definitely share that for him as well. I don't know. Are you sharing your deck pick? I don't think so, right?
You can talk about it. I mean, I'm not really too scared about talking about my 60.
That's fair. Bro, they don't even know your face. You a cat
True,
with a
yeah.
beard and an eye patch. Like your name Guardian on the screen, bro.
I mean,
Well,
if
I
they
guess
see
they
the
know your
jersey,
name's
it
Avery.
fits.
True. My face, however, I don't need tied to my deck just yet. Just yet.
Just yet.
Maybe after Pittsburgh. After Pittsburgh, I would definitely talk about it. But yeah. For now, I'm keeping her on the low because knowing me, I'm gonna switch up, and I don't want people tying me to this yet. But yeah, so jumping in, dude. What do you think? What do you think is gonna be the top deck that wins it all?
Honestly, if you were to ask me today, which you just did, so let me not stall any
True.
longer. I think the number one deck that might be able to take down Worlds is, unfortunately, as much as my gut wants to say Gardevoir,
Yeah.
I think I want to say Raging Bolt, because Raging Bolt has just been on an absolute tear as of recent,
Okay.
especially considering that the Oko decks have been getting very popular. Goldengo got Genesect as of recent,
Yeah.
and when you take Raging Bolt into consideration, all you need is a manual attach, a Sada, play Teal Dance 4 times, and you're taking out everything in the game. And it's not such an obscene combo. They play enough Pal Pads to keep recycling those Sadas.
Yeah, they
They
play
have enough.
one two pal pad. Yeah.
Yeah, they have the resources to be able to take an Oko on everything. The thing that gets Raging Bolt is if they have to take a 1 prize after you just take a 2 prize, that's when it gets awkward. Because now they're taking 4 KOs instead of the normal 3.
Yeah.
But as long as a deck like Raging Bolt or even Goldengo take the first 2 prize cards, they're on track to win unless you give them a single prize attacker that can take them out.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I think that's why they've started to include the single prize Raging Bolt in a lot of lists. And some crazy players play 2 single prize Pokemon. They play either the single prize Raging Bolt, the single prize Koraidon, or the single prize Slitherwings. So there's 3 great single prize Pokemon Raging Bolt has been running. I think the single prize Raging Bolt has had the most success, and it gives some bench snipe capabilities that works around Shaman because it's a non-EX Pokemon. And I think that's how they've kind of mitigated that single prize attacker to take the KO. You know, they could work around that as well with their own. Definitely helps in the mirror match against Guardy, stuff like that. But that's an interesting pick. I didn't see that one coming. That makes sense though. I like it. What do you think will be the most common deck?
I mean, most common?
Yeah.
I kind of want to say Goldengo, because right now it's like just one of the most common decks in the meta share right now.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people, especially considering that people are still like kind of blindsided by how good it's gotten when Black Bolt White Flare
Yeah.
dropped. It's sort of just like popped up out of nowhere, and people are getting really good with it. People don't know the tech cards to sort of deal with it efficiently. But I just slapped down in Jamming Tower and a Chi-Yu and tell you to deal with it. But
Average Charizard moment.
yeah, true.
That's valid, bro. It's valid.
But I think that it's either going to be Gardevoir or Goldengo is going to be the most popular deck, especially on day
Really?
1. But when it
Okay.
comes to day 2, I think we're going to see a lot more Polts that snuck in. We're going to see a lot more Zards, maybe even a control
what's
deck here
funny?
or there.
I have the opposite opinion. I think that on
Oh.
day 1, Pult is going to have a much higher showing than any other deck. And I think on day 2, you're going to see a lot more Charizard, Raging Bull, and Gardevoir. But I do think day 1 Pult is going to have the highest deck percentage. I think Pult swings well into a lot of the meta decks right now, and its Goldengo matchup isn't awful. It can work around Goldengo. You do play the Badoo for the early game item lock to stop the Energy Search Pro onto your first Dragon Pult. You can fight for the first 2 prize KO. Pretty solid. I think Pult has a lot of answers to get around it. I don't know. I don't think it's personally the best matchup. I don't think it's going to win Worlds at all. Famous last words. I mean, here it is. It's going to be all of the top 4, but I definitely think the opposite almost. I like the Raging Bolt pick, though. That one caught me by surprise, but I almost kind of agree with you after it.
But I also, after you talked about it, now
Yeah.
I'm remembering that Goldengo and Raging Bolt get abused by Dragapult a lot.
It can.
So I guess we'll see.
Not
Which-
Raging Bolt. I think Raging Bolt does much, much better into Pult because they can handle item lock a little bit easier. I mean, if you just get Crispin, which they're playing a lot now, you can swing 140, take up a do. Now you're out of item lock. Now you could go in with your Vessels. You can go in with your Sadas. You can get a lot more stuff in the discard pile. Get the Turbo going. Now you can take out Dragon Bolts. I think Goldengo struggles a bit more with that itchy paw and item lock. And especially once like the damage counters get spread and the Monkey Dories go into play. So if you whiff the KO at a certain point, you don't take 2 prize cards, it gets tricky. And I think the Pulp matchup is a little stronger into Dengo. I just don't think Raging Bolt it could keep pace with yet. And I think I forgot about that, which is why I'm like the more I'm thinking about it, the more I do like Raging Bolt. I personally think Jolting Box is gonna win Worlds.
Oh, wow. That's a
Jolting Box
bold pick.
is
I respect it.
crazy good right now, dude. It swings so well into almost every like top 10 play, not top 10 deck, because everyone's list the top 10 is going to look different, but on terms of like what's been played the most, like that is indisputable. It's a straight number. Like if you go to Limitless top 10 decks played, Jolting Box has a pretty strong matchup into a lot of them. When you look at the beefier decks like your Dragapults, you can abuse their Monkey Dories, their Dreepies, their Dragloaks on the bench with Iron Hands. When you get into the turbo decks like Raging Bull and Golden Go, the Pikachu swings super well because they don't have that Monkey Dory spread to Oko Pikachu. They have to two-shot it, and you're Okoing them in return. The single prize Galvantula helps you a ton into certain decks like the Crustle because they play the ability as well, so you do have an option there. I think Jolting Box is... I mean, we know it... Like, and I don't know how much you've played Jolting Box. I've been doing a lot of playing with it on the team just to help people test against it for literally no reason this week. Its consistency is unrivaled, dude. I mean, when I think of like a consistent deck at this point, getting off Jolting Charge turn 2 is one of the easiest things I've ever done in my life. And just keep it like it's. I always was like, oh, but the late game, how do you keep the energy in play? There is no late game. You run over your opponent 2-4-6 them before they got 3 Dracloaks into play. Like your opponent could be playing fine. They just don't realize how fast you've taken 4 prize cards with double amp. Yeah, I think that deck can definitely pull a huge placement in top in Worlds. I definitely have it in the top 8. And I think that is probably what I would say a good pick to win it this year.
That's fair.
Uh-huh.
I feel like a lot of players, how does Jolting Box deal with aggressive players who like to rare candy and their stuff? Like if they get a turn 2 Dragapult off and they start getting the damage around, how do you deal with
the
the loose?
9 Gus, dog. You play 4 different copies of 4 different arts of boss's orders. You know what I mean? Like you have 16 ways to gust out Pokemon in the deck. And that's what I realized playing Jolting Box is like, how do you deal with like Turbo Dragapult? Or when I was testing, it was against Grimmsnarl. Like how do you deal with a rare candy Grimmsnarl turn 2? You go Prime Catcher to that Impidimp or that Frostlass or that Monkey Dory on their bench, and you go Amp. So even if they take the first 2 prize cards on your Latias, you're responding with another 2 prize knockout while you set up like a Pikachu or something like that. I mean, they play Iron Leaves too, so you can take out the Iron Leaves to then take out the Grimmsnarl. Like there's a lot of ways to 2-4-6 your opponent, and I think it's more consistent in doing that than some of the other decks. And I think it is actually a lot. Like you could go Rare Candy Dragapult turn 2. You can't set up your board as fast after that because you didn't go in with your Dracloak. So now when you're forced to do that, your setup is a little slower, and Jolting Box doesn't care about that. And I think that's how it's kind of worked around. And I think like the really good high tier players that I aspire to get to the level of at the end of the season definitely see lines that I don't even see yet in Jolting Box. And yeah, I think it's a great play. It's an easy deck to learn. I think the skill ceiling with it is pretty solid. The skill floor with it is very easy to pick up, very easy to learn. How quick to master? Not sure. I think someone will do it, though. I think someone will really prove that at Worlds.
I still think that like a... I mean, if I like... Obviously, this is like a interesting scenario, but if I get like a rare candy Bolt off and then I boss up your Iron Hands and smack that on turn 2, then like what's the route from there?
It still has 200 damage, and they could play like I play the Charm in my list, so I go up to 280, so you can't take me out with a perfect 6 damage counters, right? And dude, it's like, oh, but just have boss in your hand and boss around it is like, oh, but what if you don't, dude? Somehow you just do. Like that deck,
you have
like 9 gusting cards, dog. Yeah, like you will have a gusting card. Like I don't know how to explain it. It's
your
weird.
Opponent will be swapping out their active, and you will be taking prize cards.
Crayon eating like jokes about that deck they're valid, dog. I'm telling you, like the boss is in your hand, and when you're playing against Jolting Box, 97% of the time they have the gust, and if they didn't gust you, it's because they chose not to. Like it's insane.
They spared you for a turn.
Yes. I mean, like my list, I've got 4 boss, Prime Catcher, and Bundle. I've got some way to work around that Dragapult. You know, so yeah, it's solid, man. It's definitely a solid
Go
deck.
big or go home.
I think, honestly, one of the hardest matchups for the deck is going to be something like Raging Bolt, where they could outpace your 2 prizers. They could go second, take that 2 prize donk on the first turn, and then 2/4/6 you faster than you can 2/4/6 them. I think it actually swings better into evolving decks, because you have the option to gust around their big hitters, and then you could also go in with Pikachu and a Grav Mountain or something like that and take out their stage 2. So you've got like plenty of options to deal with the big hitter, surprisingly, because of the versatility that you have on taking 2 prize cards a turn with Iron Hands. It's the turbo decks that can accelerate faster, like Raging Bolt, that I think is where the deck could have a little bit more problems. Is it winnable? Yes, I think it's very winnable. It's just I think it's harder. You need a little bit more stuff to go your way on a deck that is playing almost the same exact playstyle you are. So, yeah, that's I don't know. That's what I'm feeling. We'll take it all down. Anything else you want to touch on for Worlds? Any other big plays? Any other don't plays or decks you don't think are well positioned that a lot of people seem to be running or something like that?
I think Marnie might get ran over. I don't know. There's just something that's telling me in my gut that Marnie's Grimmsnarl is not as hype as people think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I get it. You got the Frostlass spread and things like that. You got all your Monkey Dories hanging about. But at the end of the day, if I bump your stadium and I start swinging big, you're really at a loss because you don't play many rare candies. I think, what does they play? Like 2, maybe?
2 or 3. Yeah, I don't remember the
2 or
exact
3,
one. 2
yeah.
or 3. Mm-hmm.
You'd have to actively use your supporter for the turn to search out one of the pieces of your puzzle. And at that point, I know my bench is safe. Like, whenever I see an opponent playing Arvin or something like that, I take a sigh of relief knowing that my bench is not going to get taken, especially if I haven't taken a prize card yet.
Yeah.
And in a deck that I'm playing like Zard, I'm going to want you to take more prize cards early because I'm going to be happy if you take more prize cards. I'm just going to start swinging harder. And, sometimes if I see like an Impidimp and a Grimmsnarl on the active, I'm going to take your Impidimp because that leaves you with one less attacker. Yeah. I'm not swinging into back-to-back Marnies. I'm swinging into one Marnie, even though they hit me first. Like, it's
that's fair.
Definitely ways around that matchup that a lot of people just don't see. And the Monkey Dory Ping Pong is kind of cringe. But I feel like
it works.
Yeah, it works.
It works pretty well. No, it makes sense though. It makes sense. I don't know how much it'll get run over. I think that depends on how much Gardevoir shows up. If a lot of Gardevoir shows up, the Marty players are gonna do great because you're a dark spread deck into a psychic deck that plays a lot of basic, like low HP basic Pokemon. But I think if you and me have literally talked about 3 turbo decks or 2 turbo decks really, like Raging Bull and Joltik Box. I could see that. That being a hard environment. Golden Go we've mentioned, so the 3 is what I'm thinking of. 3 matches could be a little bit difficult. I think Golden Go is probably the best matchup if you're a Grimmsnarl player because you could go for the Devo play onto a bunch of Gimme Ghouls, and just slow your opponent down that way. But and you could also just go in with the Frostlass Monkey Dory combo alone. You don't even need the Grimmsnarl to set yourself up for the Devo play. Like, you don't have to go Grimmsnarl immediately. But I definitely see what you mean. I think that could be a more challenging pick. I think there's a lot more in the environment now that's going to make it difficult for the Grimmsnarl players if the Raging Bolts and the Dengos and the Joltik boxes are all present. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and I mean, we also have Dragapult Dusknoir that with 2 cards can one-shot you, and then you're out of luck. And it just so happens that 3 of the top 5 decks right now are bulky, big swingers. So.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. That's a fair point. I don't know. I think in terms of what I think is not the play, I don't really, out of like the top meta decks, I don't think there's one that really sticks out as in like a super rough spot. I know we've talked about this to like an insane degree on the team, like at our team practices and stuff. But it's just every time I go and I look back, it's like every deck is so bad into 1 or 2 matchups, and I can't think of one that I'm like, that's a bold pick. You know what I mean? Like, that isn't really great into a lot of the matchups. Like, all of the top decks, I think, feel really solid. I think maybe the one that I'm the most excited to see is Ethan's Typhlosion, just because people are still duking it out. Do we play Tatsugiri, Draclo, Pidgeot? And then you got people like me who are like, nah, Dunsparce is fun. Like I can't wait to see how the Typhlosion players run it, because I think that is going to solidify more or less. You're watching the top players who have done extensive testing and are, like the most renowned, having some of the best achievements, from the past year, play this deck and kind of say, hey, this is the most consistent way to run it. So I think that's the one I'm looking forward to, and also the one I worry about, because it's like, ooh, if you make the wrong pick on that, you play the Draklokes, which do bad, and it's a Grimmsnarl and Dragapult, or you play the Pidgeot, which is now worse than a Raging Bolt and like Joltik Box, because that's easy to gust up and take 2 prize cards. So I think that's the one I am excited and worried about to see, because I know I would hate if I played that deck and played the wrong archetype of it. Like that would beat me up. But yeah, no, that makes sense. Grimmsnarl could
I think
definitely be a tough
Typhlosion will
one.
have a. I think Typhlosion's gonna have a really good showing. I think there's
Yeah.
gonna be a lot of people playing it. There's gonna be so many archetypes that people are choosing from.
Yes. Yes. Me
There's
too.
gonna be, like you said, you know, there's also gonna be a hell of a lot of mirrors,
And I think that's
and
why I'm excited to see, because we could actually break down and say, hey, wow, look, out of the 20 people playing it with Dracloak, 3 of them made day 2. Whereas out of the 15 people playing it with Pidgeot, 7 of them made day 2. I think that says that there's a better variant or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, we could get
yeah,
really good information at the highest level of play. What is the best variant? So that's why I am excited to see how the deck does. It just, my heart goes out to the people who are running that, because I'm like, oh man, like, you got to test a lot of different variants. You're not testing which tech card is the best. You're testing which engine is the best, and that's a lot harder to do, especially do a tournament like Worlds. So, I'm excited to see how that one ends up for the Typhlosion players out there.
definitely, definitely.
Uh,
What? Oh,
no, you're good. You're good.
I was gonna say, what big sleeper deck do you think is gonna make a top showing? Like nobody's talking about
Oh,
it, but it might pop up.
dog. Iron Thorns won last year. We gotta have some control in there, and I'm going with Crustle. Crustle's a sleeper pick. You hit the right matchup spread, which is just anything but Typhlosion, and you're like good to go. You dodge your Typhlosion and your Gardevoir. You've made it. You've made it there, dude. I am praying. I think Joltik Box is the best position to win Worlds. I personally want Crustle to win Worlds. I think that is a sleeper pick. I mean, even Joltik Box is a bit of a sleeper pick, but I definitely think Crustle would be fun to watch. Take it down, dude. What
Absolutely.
about you? Where's your heart at?
My heart, you already know. I would love to see a High Dragon make it on the top stage. It's not going to happen
That's valid.
because people
That's
rip their
valid.
list straight from Limitless. They don't test, they don't have fun,
Yeah.
and they say like, "Oh, well, look at this guy. It's
Yeah.
obviously, it went 11-0 in Tournament of Doom. It's got to be good, right?" Nope. Yeah, you get fried. Make your own lists, people. Cater your
Yeah.
list towards you as a player. If you rip a 60 off Limitless, you are not the player who ran the deck. Understand this.
I think Hydreigon's biggest problem is there's no setup component on it at all. And I think in the current format, like all the top decks have some way of manipulating the game to help set yourself up or get like build itself up or change the board state in some way. Um, and I think that's just Hydreigon's one weakness. You've got 2 attacks that are so
Yep.
dominating. It's just what engine can successfully set up the entire deck and then also be bossed up KO'd and the deck not fall apart. I think that's like the biggest problem for Hydreigon. Is like you can play Pidgeot. Pidgeot gives you anything you need whenever you need it, which is great. But then if I boss up Pidgeot or KO Pidgeot or something like that, it's like, ooh, can the deck still play without that? It has to be able to, because there's going to be a lot of situations where that happens. And I think that's Hydreigon's biggest problem. But oh my god, if it made top 8, I'd scream, I'd cry tears of joy. Yeah, that's
For the
valid though.
ultimate sleeper pick.
Yeah,
Single prize Zorak. I gotta see it. I gotta see it. I gotta see it.
that's hustle, dog. Yo, next year when you're going to Worlds, you can take that one. So all the people in the same mindset as you can also pick that as their true sleeper pick, and you can represent for them out there. That's fire. Switching up though, talking about
Absolutely.
now this will be more, I guess, for the general audience. The people who, even if you're not making Worlds, if you're watching this podcast, chances are you play at some level. So I think just talking about, especially now that we're getting much more in the competitive mindset, on a competitive team, making a Worlds push, how do we pick a deck? Because that is a hard choice. There's so much anxiety, so much stress, so much confidence put in a deck for it to potentially fall short, be the wrong pick, go 0-3, and contemplate dropping. You know what I mean? Like, it's how do you navigate that decision on what is the play, especially when you're going to a regional? Because Pittsburgh right now is aiming to be the biggest regional in existence by a long shot. We're 3,200 registrations in, and it's been about
Yeah.
a week or so. So how do you go about navigating what deck to play?
Honestly, when it comes to me, I feel like a lot of people stress out so much about the matchup spread that they see on Limitless. What I think a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people need to start doing is realizing that this game has the ultimate freedom with how you play your deck and how you can make it yourself. A lot of people used to, I mean, you could probably still find a Chien-Pao Baxcalibur list that plays the same list that was relevant last year. I kind
Yeah.
of sort of spread out away from that. I've played it with Pidge. I've literally any water type or any engine, I've probably played it in Chien-Pao and seen either some sort of success or some sort of failure. Understand, this game is a sandbox. You have the
True.
ultimate opportunity. If it's legal in the format, you can play it in a deck and you can try and make it happen.
True.
So, like, when I'm building a deck, like, for example, Dragapult Dusknoir, people play with, like, Haluchas, Blood Moons, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I play Dragapult Dusknoir Pidgeot. That's enough for me to be able to get myself consistent and going.
Yeah,
I've
man.
played Dragapult, not Dragapult. Well, I have played a lot of Dragapult in my day. Saying that out loud
Uh,
feels a lot worse than it is feeling it.
no, you've been
But
playing for a long time, dude. Yeah, it's a good deck that you're a good pilot of it. You've been running it for a while, borderline since it came out. Like, yeah, man, nothing wrong in saying that.
I've played a hell of a lot of decks that utilize Dusknoir and Pidgeot.
True.
I've always combined the two together because having that quick search engine is my favorite engine in the game. I'm consistent with it. I'm able to get things out as soon as I possibly can. I'm looking at my hand. I'm seeing the line. I can probably get a turn 2 Dragapult out. And that just comes from me being an aggressive player. As much as I don't like Rare Candy, I abuse that card like nobody's business. I will get a stage 2 out on my second turn, and you're going to have to deal with that. So things like that, a lot of people need to take account. You don't just rip the deck that you see on Limitless for your archetype and just run that 60. If Tord Reklev played that Dragapult list, brother, you are not Tord Reklev. Understand that. I respect the hustle for, like, you know, he's one of the best Dragapult players in the world, yada, yada, yada. He might be the best Zard player, best Maridon player, Jesse Parker, but, like, at the end of the day, ripping their list does not make you them. Throw a
That's
little bit of
valid.
you into your deck list and you're going to see yourself shine a hell of a lot more. And I think that that's something that at least I go for when I play my deck. Like when I'm playing Zard, I'm playing Morty's Conviction. I bet you one of y'all don't even know what that card does. You know what I mean? But like when I see my opponent flush their board state out, I'm like, hold on, I got like 5 cards in hand. Let me see if I can get the rare candy off of this. And then I
Yeah.
flip the script, and all of a sudden I'm standing at a 15 card hand, and my opponent is for damn sure not going to boss. They're going to want to limit my options. So a lot of the psychological aspect comes in the game too. I think a lot of people don't really look at their list and really fine tune it to their personal ability. All of us are different players.
Yeah.
You might be a more casual player in the sense that like you're not very aggressive. You like to play the slow game, disruption. Copying a list from an aggressive player is not going to make you win. You got to fine tune your list, and I sort of think that that's what I'm getting at. Don't worry about your limit list, the spreadsheets and stuff like that, because you're like, oh, if I have a really bad matchup into this, and this deck is really popular, so what? Maybe there's a card out there, or a different way you can play the same deck, but in a different way, or a different cards that you can make your matchup a little bit better in. You know, like a lot of people, when I played like Chien-Pao Spidops, people were like, oh, that deck gets slammed by Goldengo. I never had a problem with Goldengo. Why have I not had a problem with that? Or when I played High Dragon, I play it with Pidgeot Dusknoir, sort of to bring that up again. People look at High Dragon on Limitless, they're like, damn, this deck sucks. It loses to everything. I promise you, if I loaded up a ladder match right now, I could probably beat Goldengo. I could probably beat the top 5 with my High Dragon list because I have fine-tuned that as me. That is my deck. I built that. That's me.
That is valid, bro. That's valid. I think I've taken a very different approach to how I've gone into this competitive year, which is interesting because I take a lot of that as well. Is like I also feel the need to build my list, and even if I come up to the same conclusions as the player who made the other 60 that maybe inspired me, or I looked at, or I looked it up, and there was similar ones, I think that reaffirms that I've made right choices on different cards and stuff like that. But I think one of the biggest things that's helped me, and it's something I've like built my entire YouTube channel around, is playing rogue decks, playing fun decks. Like I've mentioned it before on the podcast. I went to during my undergrad. I went to a local tournament or a local game store there. I played in a lot of tournaments, roughly once a week. Every now and then I skipped a week because I got busy, but for the most part, for 4 months, I never played the same deck twice, and not once did I ever play a deck that was in the top 10 most popular. I was running up with Steelix Dodrio, I was running up with Wugtrio Mill, I was running up with Sablezard, I was running up with 18 quadrillion different Arceus variants. Like, I was just showing up to show up. You never knew what I was going to bring next. And I think now that I've put on more of like a true competitive mindset for the game, I've had to take a step back and I've had to think like, okay, I love a lot of cards. I think a lot of cards are a lot of fun. I think they're a lot stronger than people necessarily give a lot of different decks credits for. But I think one of the things I had to realize was sometimes there's just like the meta decks are meta because they're good, they work, they're great. And I think something I had to learn was that's fine. Thank you, Rich. That's fine. Maybe I have to adapt and play those as well. And I think for people getting into a heavy competitive mindset, and especially players like myself who are playing a lot of rogue decks, I think you have to spend more time accepting that, hey, you know what, if I really want to make day two at a bunch of regionals, I really want to push far, the chance of me playing a rogue deck might not be as high because the meta's meta for a reason. It's good. It works. Now, again, that does not mean net decking the 60 and then running it. I have taken 60s and adapted them drastically throughout my testing, throughout my playing, throughout helping my friends test, to adapt to my play style. Because it's different than the person who I used it from, even if it's like Azul GG or Tord Reklev. And I think just understanding like the difference in power in certain cards is great. I think one of the biggest things that I've told a lot of people as well is every deck has a couple bad matchups, especially right now. And if you are playing it like I know some people are on the constant search for the perfect deck that beats every single archetype because then no matter what matchup they're in, they'll be fine. I have two things to say. One, you can open up a game and have a basic Pokemon and 6 energy cards and have nothing to do and still lose. And that is unfortunate. You could prize all of your Dragapults and still lose. It's unfortunate. It happens. It's
That's
okay.
targeted. That
Yeah.
has to be targeted. Yep.
It is. Avery prizes everything for those wondering. But the other thing is like, you know, like you can't counter everything. And I think like last year when I only went to a couple regionals a year just for the fun of going, I was obsessing over like, oh, how can I counter everything? How can I beat everything? And I'm still trying to do that at the competitive level. But I'm also accepting, you know what? The pick I have for Pittsburgh right now, dog, there are 2 matchups I could tell you right now. One of them especially is pretty popular. There's nothing I could do. It's chalked. Like I am fully banking on them prizing all of their energy, opening up with all of their energy in a basic. Like that is the only way I can make it through it, and that's okay because my other matchups I have spent a lot of time mastering, I've spent a lot of time learning, and the probability of hitting the other matchups compared to just those 2 is so much higher. So I have to just accept that those are my auto losses, and if I run into 3 of them on my first 3 matches in Pittsburgh and I go 0-3 and I immediately can't make day 2, hey, wrong call, man. That guy didn't. I was hoping wouldn't be as popular. Is clearly more popular than I thought, and that's that. And it's okay. There is a level of luck and RNG needed in so many aspects of this game, and you can't possibly control every aspect of that.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely not. And also, another thing to remember: your loss is not a failure to yourself. It is simply a lesson.
Yes.
Do not
Yes,
take
yes.
a loss to your heart and think that like, oh, maybe I'm not as good of a player as I thought. Nah, you could have either gotten unlucky, you could have made a misplay. Always understand that if you lost, there is a reason you lost.
Yeah.
Do not look for I lost. Let's keep going. You got to sit down. You got to analyze what went wrong there and what could I have done to prevent it. Maybe if I played Arvin here instead of bossing them up, I could have gotten like a buddy Paulfin that would have given me an extra attacker
Yeah.
potentially later on in the game. Like these little decisions, like what you ultra ball away at the beginning of your match, what you nest ball for, what you grab out of your deck with like a Pokemon search. Like there's a whole lot of stuff that like just a simple like other card could have price switched that outcome 150%. So you gotta just understand, like especially if you play our test a lot, go to PvP tabletop with your friend, explore every possible line at once for your turn, and figure out which one is more optimal, and have your opponent tell you what they are going to do to work around it. That's an all right way to go
Yeah,
about
because
it.
you could reverse a lot in that. It's not like TCG
Exactly.
Live. Like, that is if you can't play in person. If you can play in person, obviously do that. Like, that works. But PvP Tabletop does keep a written log. So you can remember how to reverse it as well, which helps a ton.
Yeah. So just please do
Yeah.
not put yourself down over losing.
And
Like
I want to
Chris
build
just
on one
said.
of those points that you said. I really want to highlight it because it was so amazing. Is there is a reason why you lost, and I think the thing I want to add on to that is sometimes you're really gonna hate the reason, and that's also okay. Sometimes you just have an auto loss, and that's that. And the way around it, you're playing the wrong deck. Is that a reason you're gonna be happy about? No, no, not at all. Let's say my auto loss is to like Gardevoir, right? Like that's a very popular deck everyone plays. Maybe I'm just at a point where I'm like, yeah, you know what? There's so many decks that counter Gardevoir. I can't imagine a lot of people want to pick Gardevoir. So then I show up to the tournament and guess what? I match 4 Gardevoir, and now I'm going 0-4 into Elite Cup, and there's only 5 rounds, and I'm like, okay, what am I doing here? What went wrong? I made the wrong meta call. Like that's it.
And that's okay.
And I
Like that's
need to play
fine.
a different deck. Obviously, I hope that happens at a local level and not a regional level, but there you can't predict stuff like that, man. So sometimes the reason for losing is really bad. Like you just drew 6 energy in a basic. What could you have done differently? Shuffled one more time.
Nothing.
Shuffled one more time. Like that's it, dude. You know what I mean? Like, and that's okay. Like, are we happy about that? No. But it happens, man, and that's I think part of why this game is fun. I think like some people are like, oh, prize cards should never exist. Like we should be able to take mulligans like Magic until we could just take a mulligan and then we have 1 card less in our hand. Like, yeah, that's great and all, but I think the level of RNG and like luck in certain aspects of this game make this game fun and make it enjoyable and keep us bringing it back, because I know, and I've been there where I prize all of my Arceus V-Stars when I was playing that before it rotated, and I prize all 3 of them in my list, and I'm like, God, I hate everything, prize card should never exist. And then my opponent, who's playing Chiempao, prized all their back calibers, and I'm like, yes, I have a chance at winning. You know what I mean? So it goes back and forth, and that's okay. So no, I think that's a great point that you mentioned.
And also,
Yeah.
just be able to laugh about things. Just like,
Yes.
like, there's no way this dude got everything he needed. Like, obviously, there's a little bit of tilt behind that, but, like, just laughing at all.
If he has boss off the top deck, he's got boss off the top deck. What can I do about that? Oh, there's boss. I'm gonna... That's it. That's it for me. That's that. A little bit of tilt. Gotta laugh those off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and also, like I've said before on the podcast, your opponent is not your enemy. They're just your opponent. Chat with them. Have a good conversation.
Yeah.
If you really want to start being a manipulative human, get on their good side. Steamroll them the next 2 turns. Tell them, like, listen, I know I was just your friend 2 seconds ago, but right now I'm going to be your opponent.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Do you. I mean, I'm not going to be your friend, but, like, you do you. Don't look at your person on the other side of the table as an enemy, because that is going to seep into your mind and you're going to get even more tilted when stuff happens. If I see the other person across the table as like my man Chris right here, or like someone like Aaron, like I'm going to have a little bit more of an easy time losing to them, because it's like, what happens? You know what I mean?
I feel like you crash out against me more than other people.
Well, that's because you play a whole lot of things I don't like. Okay.
Yeah, that's fair, boys. Hate the deck they're playing, not the player. Learn how to separate.
Exactly.
Those.
Yeah.
Learn. I will hate you for playing Gardevoir, but it's not you. It's just what's on your playmat. You're fine.
Yeah.
I'm just beefing with the deck, and I'm just gonna say you, but it's not. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's a very, very important point. And I think for those of y'all going to huge tournaments like regionals, if you're going to Worlds, going to, stuff like that. I mean, I guess I can't speak to those players because they're better than me. I'm not going to Worlds. But just anyone, like, consistency, man. Just focus on consistency. You don't need 12 tech cards to counter everything. Counter the stuff. Like, if you put a tech card in your deck, make sure that either takes a winnable matchup to an auto win, or it takes a bad matchup to a 50-50. If your tech is not having a drastic difference on 1 to 2 decks, it is not a good tech. If you're taking like a 50% win rate matchup to 60, maybe that's good. I'd say that's like baseline for considerable. Ideally, like a tech card needs to wildly influence like a matchup or two. I think for the most part, for people making decks, sorry, I dropped a couple cards I was shuffling with. For people taking decks to regionals and stuff like that, just focus on consistency. What makes your deck the most consistent? You're playing 9 games. You want probably the streamlined variant because it's a lot of mental work. It's tiring. You want consistency because you're going to be playing more games than you know what to do with, and you want to make sure you can play the game because losing sucks. Losing when you play the game and it was a good game sucks a little less. So make sure you guys can play the game. I think that's a very important
Absolutely.
thing to know and remember when you're making your own 60, as Avery said.
You know, like losing on the final prize corridor, if you had game in hand, is
Yeah.
infinitely more rewarding
Yes.
than losing off rip because you had Joltik and 6 grass energy. Because it's like,
Exactly.
at that point, you're going to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
One is bad luck. One is a potential misplay that you could learn from, and is a rewarding experience that you made it that far against probably a hard matchup, and that's great. You know, that's fun. That's why we play the game. We want that intense back and forth. We want that, you know, to see those big plays happen and see the true skill difference between players and mathing out and probabilities and different sequencing and lines and prize mappings. That's the fun stuff, man. You want to make it to the late game. So if you lose at the late game, it's cool. Consistency will get you to the late game. So, yeah. Anything else you want to add?
I mean, there's not really much else that we could cover. I
I'm
mean,
good, bro. I'm ready to
just
hop
if
into the
you
last part whenever you are.
just walk in
Yeah.
with, you got to be confident. That's one thing. Confidence is the absolute key. There's a massive difference between confidence and arrogance, though. Understand that when you walk in there and you say, I'm probably the best player in this room right now. Like, I'm about to come over here and I'm about to squeeze everybody. You're probably not. Let's be real. Or if you walk in there and you say, I think I might have a really good chance to be walking in here tomorrow. Like, that's a good way to sort of hype yourself up for your first game. Because you're going to be there until like 6, 7 p.m. You're walking in at 9:30. You're probably going to be there 12 hours later eating some cold food from the cabinets over there. You know what I mean?
True.
So make sure you prepare yourself for the tournament. Get yourself mentally prepared to be playing a whole lot of Pokemon, because if you can't play the ladder for more than 30 minutes without crashing out, you probably shouldn't be at a regional, let's be real.
True.
But you gotta just understand the sort of environment you're walking into. And also, there's a lot of people here that are playing for fun. I mean, I would say that like out of the 3,500 people registering, probably like 3,000 people aren't even really going to be, not 3,000, that's a little bit of a stretch, but like maybe like 2,200. Maybe like 2,200 of them are like just going to be there to play the game and just have like a competitive environment. They're not really shooting for anything.
Mm-hmm.
So like there's going to be a lot of people. Like if you get to the higher tables, you're probably going to be seeing a lot more jerseys, and that's when it starts to get a little scary. But you know, if it can happen to you, it can happen to them. Mm-hmm. This isn't like the full, like it is 100% autonomous. You are a machine that can be better than them. Sometimes things happen. You know, you might go against Azul. He might have the worst draws in history. You know what I mean? You might be able to say you beat Azul.
You could have the me experience of my day too. I was a player looking to have fun. Accidentally went undefeated day one. Beat Rahul already when I didn't even know who he was. You know what I mean? Like and not like steamroll Rahul already, and totally because my deck auto won against his. Like I had the right meta call, and he did, just not against mine. RAC's Flying Pikachu just beat Lugia outright at the time, you know. But it's definitely not what I expected when I was going in that tournament. And I think building off on that confidence part, if you are going to Pittsburgh and you want to say hi, need a little pep talk, need a couple people to hang with, feeling a little anxious, just want a group to chill with in between rounds, Avery and I will be there with the Draw Pass TCG team. Don't be afraid to hit us up, you know, DM in the Discord. Hey, you guys in the venue, something like that, you know, or just you see us walking around, you want to say hi, please, dog, say hi. I mean, I guess, like, you guys don't know Avery's face unless you match against him. My face is here. You know what I look like? You can't really see it because it's dark in the room. I do have bright red hair. It's pretty hard to miss. So, like, you know, don't be afraid to say hi. If that helps you just get a smile on your face and feel a little better going into your first round, and that's all that you need, I would be honored to do that if that's it. You know, like, that'd be great. But confidence helps, man. Going into that match with a smile is a big part. Yeah. Ready for who's that Pokemon?
I think I'm ready.
Well, I have to minimize OBS, I guess. I don't know. I hope this doesn't stop the recording. Oh wait, no. First I have to switch so everyone could see the screen. There we go. Okay, this is a card. Let me zoom this in. So for those of you wondering, before I stare at this card and truly start my questions, who's that Pokemon? Little series we have at the end of every episode. Avery has selected a card for myself. I have 7 questions to figure out the card. The questions have to be TCG related, so I can't say what gen is that Pokemon from. I could say, is this Pokemon from like Obsidian Flames onward? It has to be something like that. Can't be a video game question about the Pokemon. All of the types are based off the cards, not the video game Pokemon as well. The card has to be a standard format Pokemon card, so it can't be a trainer or an energy card. But based off the looks, I'm going to go with it's not an energy card anyways. And then we have 3 guesses to get the card, if I'm right.
Yep.
Yeah, sweet. Is this Shaman?
Yo, so here's the crazy thing, right? So, yeah, you're right.
Alright, cool. Sorry, it's the trainer gallery Shaman, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yep. Now we're getting into specifics. All right, cool.
Yeah, I can pull it up too. I got the.
Yep, I sent it to you.
Oh,
that's
Shaman.
That's fun.
Yep,
so,
bottom
yeah,
leaf right there. Yeah. Well, that was
I thought I was at least gonna get one guess out of you.
Nah, dog. I've been playing a lot of Pokemon over the past couple of days.
Yeah, I should have known I wasn't gonna get that on you.
Yeah, no, you had to pick some card out of the back rooms if you wanted to swing this by me, dog. For those of you all wondering, I work in a school, right? So I do work the summer school program too, but the summer school's ended, so we've got 2 weeks between. Or I have 2 weeks before I'm like helping moving and set up and stuff like that, but a couple weeks between the summer school year and the regular school year. So I've just been sitting here kind of hanging out, testing for Pittsburgh. These cards that are in meta decks, I promise you, I know every art, every inch, every pixel of those.
They're giving you a trainer gallery screamtail. That
Bro,
would have been a little bit
yeah,
difficult.
that would have been at least a little harder because there's less Screamtails than Shaman. But yeah, no, my fault for no questioning that one.
I gotta respect
I glanced at it and I'm like, nah, I know that. I had to look at the camera to say the rules because I'm like, I already know what this card is. I gotta drag this on more than 30 seconds. I respect it, bro. I respect it. It was a good pick. It was a good pick next week. I will be stumping you a little bit more, though. I apologize.
All right.
We'll switch back to the cam with you and me. Anything else you want to add before we close out the episode?
I think that's about it. Just remember, spread love and positivity. We are the nicest TCG for a reason.
Draw Pass TCG, yo. Hop on the team stuff. We got some Draw Pass merch in the description. We've got the link to the fourth wall page with some Draw Pass t-shirts, some stickers, stuff like that. If you want to pick one up, we'd love to have you represent some Draw Pass gear. I have had a couple people actually ask about a playmat, so if you'd be interested in a Draw Pass playmat you could order, let me know. I could definitely get on that. And yeah, I mean, with that being said, hope you guys are doing awesome. Let me know what you guys want to see in the next masterclass. If you'd potentially like to be a part of one, if you want to learn more about the throwback series, tune into that on the channel. We'll talk a whole lot more about it. And yeah, with that being said, hope everyone's doing amazing. Stay epic. Peace.
Peace.